If you've ever wanted to publish a book, you're in the right place. Because today we're going to be teaching you how you can become an Amazon best-selling author with my beautiful guest today, Jai Cornell. Now, Jai Cornell is a visionary author of 3 books and is a master certified publisher. That means she knows exactly what she's doing and how to publish a book and make it into a bestseller. If you've been thinking about publishing a book, but you really don't know where to start, then this video is for you. So please welcome to the stage today, my beautiful guest, Jai Cornell. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Alyssa?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to have you here, the first of our 15 authors. And this is the golden ticket here, everyone, because Jai is the person who put this entire project together. Now, just to give you a little overview, this is the beautiful book that she created, Permission to Flourish, Stop Beating Yourself Up. And it's what's known as an anthology. I'd never heard of this before I met Jai. It's such an interesting process. We have 15 authors involved in this anthology, so it's a lot easier than having to do a book all by yourself. That is a hard process. I've done 3 books on my own, and you just feel so lost. You have to figure things out all by yourself. So I'm so glad that you put this together and you invited me to the project. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me on your show. It was such a great process.
It is, yes. Now, for people that don't know you, Jai, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you actually started to work on this project? What was the instigation of that?
Yeah, so it all started in 2020 when we had the pandemic, right? And everything started shutting down. And it was like anxiety started to hit, and I wanted to kind of go down this path of wanted to get my story out there. And I wrote a couple of books, and then it was like you said, so much work to do it by yourself. And
Yeah,
I wanted to be able to give other coaches and authors the opportunity to be able to share their story for those that may not have all of the actual cost to start up, to get starting with a book, to getting published, or not knowing where to go. So Permission to Flourish, Stop Beating Yourself Up was that book that really targeted me to be able to just enjoy that one area of life, to say, you know what, we all have a voice. How can I get my story out there, but also share it with others that may not have been able to otherwise be able to get their voice out on paper? Because like we talk about, once it's in a book and you have it in your hand, nothing is much more considered a legacy or with the
yeah.
stamp of approval to be there. And that's what really got me involved in that book. Besides all of the personal things that I went through and I wanted to put it out there, that was the main reason, giving people the outlet to be able to share their story and not have to endure all the crazy costs and all that work.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And it was a really beautiful process. You made it very, very easy for everyone. And yes, guys, this is live. That's why things happen, like people walking behind us or a butterfly landing on our heads. This is what happens when you're live. Anything can happen. That's why live is fun. It makes it much more fun and engaging. You never
Right.
know what's going to happen next. But exactly, look, I have a tangible book in my hand. Thank you for giving us that, because it's such a sense of accomplishment holding it. Just holding it. It's very different to an ebook. I've got ebooks. I've had ebooks for years, but having the actual product in your hand is just a different type of fulfillment. It feels really good. So I'd never heard of an anthology before I met you. I'd seen them before, but I didn't really understand the process. So there's 15 authors involved here. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of what the process was, how you navigated our different perspectives? Because look at it, we got 15 different people, 15 different writing styles, 15 different ideas. We've got a lot of creativity here. How did you navigate that and get us all through that process without killing each other?
I think it was the trust of the co-authors that they really wanted to be a part of the project. And especially when you're all over the globe and in all time zones, right? So this
Yeah.
wasn't just in Australia or the United States. We had individuals from the UK, even as far as South Africa. So
Yeah.
it was truly a diverse dynamic and group. And it was the way that all of us were working together and how we actually presented ourselves of this is the platform, we want to get our story out. And many of the co-authors that were a part of the project were, I've always wanted to write a book, I just didn't know how to get started. And I think that was the biggest thing, is everyone had an investment and they
Yeah.
all wanted to have their voices heard and share their story, so that way others on the platform could actually see what was going on within themselves personally, and to get it on paper. I think that was the biggest push, and the biggest, I think I was lucky for the project because the way the co-authors were selected, it wasn't just one person selecting the co-authors. There were three of us, right, that made that decision on who should actually be the co-authors and would it be the best fit, and actually doing the one-on-one before we actually accepted the co-authors to be a part of the project. And I think that was one of the most important pieces of the process, is getting the right people involved.
Exactly. And you obviously did, because there was no problem with anyone. There were no little hissy fits or, queen, like princess moments. There was none of that at all. We all just dove in and did what was required of us to actually make this work. The process, you guys, you and Dorothy, really, you made it so simple from the beginning of the coaching calls and the to do things, the things to think about, the lists of things that we needed to write down, how the whole chapter was meant to be written. All of that was step by step. And that's what made it easy. You see, when you're trying to write a book by yourself, and I know this from my own experiences, you have to be very disciplined and sit down, excuse me, and figure out, excuse me, you have to sit down and figure out, okay, what do I write about first? And is that the right order? Or how do I put the chapters in there? How do I decide what chapter goes where? I'm making all the decisions all by myself. How do I know those decisions are the right decisions? If you're not guided by somebody who's more experienced, it's really hard to navigate all of that. It's a very difficult process, but you made that process through the anthology really, really simple. So it's awesome. Now, what was the key message for your chapter, Jay, that you wanted readers to take away?
Yeah, the key message was, it doesn't matter where you came from and what you had suffered at such a young age. And then, just the journey that you went on to adulthood, even as a parent, even as a single parent, all those struggles, trials, and tribulations that you have is letting go of your ego and pride. And it doesn't dictate who you are as you transform into who you are today. So don't live in the past, live in the present, and focus on your future.
I love that. So don't let your past dictate what your future can hold for you, maybe in a nutshell. Yeah. And
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah, and this is such a key lesson for all of us. We don't have to be held back by our past. It's such an important lesson. That, more or less in a nutshell, is my chapter too. Because when you get stuck in a certain trauma or set of traumas that are informing your life, if you're not aware, if you're not conscious of those patterns of behavior that are coming back and back and back, you will just keep rinsing and repeating that behavior into the future. But once you become aware and realize that I don't have to make my future another repeat of the past, then everything starts to change. That this is what the beauty of the book is, that you've got all these 15 people with very different lives, very different traumas, very different challenges. And they all come together from a wisdom perspective, from a perspective of learning and growing, and knowing that from that growth moment, we can create something really beautiful for the future. We don't have to keep going, why is this happening to me again, again, again? This is what people do over and over and over again, until eventually they get so beaten down that they just give up on their
I
goals,
agree.
on
Yep.
life. you know? So what would be one of the practical pieces of advice that they can glean from the book and specifically from your chapter?
Yeah, it's just really letting go, forgiving. And it's not forgiving because of what happened to you or what they did to you, because like they always say, right, you can forgive but you can never forget. But forgive for yourself so that way you can move forward no matter what, trials, tribulations, and obstacles that had happened to you. Move forward, you have to just
Oh,
let it go.
I lost you for a second. It was really, really good timing because you said letting go and then you just disappeared.
Right.
It's like, see, it's real time. She let
Absolutely.
go in the moment. And you have to sometimes let go. And let's face it, as a voice and video coach, this is one of the reasons that people don't like to do video because there is no real control. Anything can happen anytime, especially if you're live. But once you actually sit in your own confidence, you can deal with anything that's thrown at you if you just let it go. Really love it.
Yep.
I love it. That was such a good learning moment. I just love it. I love it. So that is the big learning of your chapter is to just let go.
Yeah.
I love that. Beautiful. And now I think we've already covered this, but say there was somebody out there today watching and saying, oh, I want to become an Amazon best-selling author, but I want it all to myself, what would you say for a first-time author, the benefits of doing an anthology rather than doing everything on your own? What's the clear benefits for them?
The biggest benefit is you have others that are doing it with you. You're not doing it all by yourself. So instead of putting together 10,000 minimum for your words, you're putting together between 1,500 and 2,000, and it's doable. And then on top of that, you have a full team that will be there to support you, that will help you with your graphics, your edit, and then you get to learn with other co-authors that's going on the journey with you. And if you have questions, you're in a group together and you're asking all of these questions. And the best part is you have people that really care, that are on the journey with you, and that will be your biggest cheerleaders and advocates. And that, I think, is the best thing about the anthology, is the cohesive team that you build together. You celebrate together, you have those wins together. And if you're not feeling confident in your chapter, you can reach out and you have all of these people to back you up. And you get a different perspective from a variety of different people. So it's very, I feel like it's more inclusive when you have a team that you're working with and not just out there by yourself.
I'll look, absolutely. To me, it's like teaching a group coaching program where everybody's supporting each other on the same journey. And it's such a powerful way to learn in a group because guaranteed what somebody is going through, somebody else will be going, oh, that's me too. This is exactly what I'm struggling with. So listening to that person speak and getting that over that hump is helping so many more people just by being inclusive, by watching and learning from that inclusion of the community. It's such a beautiful thing. You're right. I think it's a really great place to start, especially for new authors. So if you're a first-time author, an anthology is absolutely the way to go, and Jay will actually help you every step of the way. You won't ever feel alone. You won't ever feel like, I don't know what to do next, but get that everything is laid out for you. It's actually the best way, the easiest path to become a best-selling author is to literally do an anthology. Because you could do these until the end of your life, and you've got so much value here. You've left the world with so much value. Even if you do, say, my camera's gone a bit weird. These things happen. Sometimes if we want to write a book, I've known so many other people, Jay, who said, I want to write a book. And then 10 years later, they haven't done it. They haven't published it. Maybe they've written half of it, but they haven't published it properly. And the reason is because it's a big project. People don't realize how time intensive that is. Every year it seems to change. There's rules that change. There's upload things that change. There's parameters that change. The design stuff changes. Amazon's changed a lot over the years. So having someone to help you navigate all that and design the book for you, that's just brilliant. Absolutely. Gold, like honestly.
Yeah, and you have a whole team, right? Again, it's not
Yeah.
just, you have one person that's leading it, but then you have a whole team behind, you have the marketing team, you have the production team, you have the individuals that go out and solicit to make sure that you're having all the right, that it makes sense for that market, for that country. So it's not just specific to one area, it's truly global. And I think that's what I really love about the first anthology that we did for Permission to Flourish.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which is such a beautiful way to do things. I'm not sure what's going on with my camera. It's gone very, very strange. There you go. Oh, there you go. Oh my goodness, these little gremlins in our systems today. Now, what is the final piece of advice that you'd like to give people? So if they see this book, Jay, and this talks to them, Permission to Flourish, stop beating yourself up. I guarantee there's so many of us, especially women out there, who are constantly beating themselves up. Constantly. And that's why one of the major reasons why this book has been written, because we don't want you to do that anymore. What advice would you have for that person so they can get onto their own journey and stop beating themselves up and start to flourish more in life?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice would be really listen or read the words and reread it.
Mm,
Permission to flourish. Allow yourself the grace, allow yourself to just flourish. Don't beat yourself up, not the woulda, coulda, shouldas, because those are
yeah.
gone. Don't do that. You can't take, time is the only thing that we can never get back. So
Yeah.
we just have to think forward and how are we gonna where we are today and get to where we wanna be. Don't worry about what happened in the past. It's something that we learned. So let's stop that part of life and let's just flourish. And just like the monarch butterfly, just flourish and just be amazing. Just be your amazing self. You might have some, bumpy roads along the line, but everything that's worth doing is worth doing it to the best of your ability. And you don't want to have any more woulda, coulda, shouldas in your life.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And the butterfly, I don't know if you knew, but that was my symbol too. It's been my symbol for, oh, you can see it in the corner. Elisa James. Um, my symbol has been the blue butterfly. I don't know what sort of butterfly that is, but for about 30 years, that's been my transformational symbol. When you are truly transforming mind, body, spirit, you do flourish. You do become a different version of yourself. You don't have to struggle and be that caterpillar trying to get out of the cocoon anymore. That struggle is over and you're into that state of freedom and flight. It's such a beautiful a picture that symbolizes where we could go. But we have to sometimes honor that struggle because those struggles that we go through are there for a reason. We have to sometimes get that strength in our wings, the blood and the oxygen and the muscles. You have to build these muscles to be able to fly and hold ourselves up. And that struggle is a wonderful gift that we can give ourselves to say, hey, it's okay. Everyone goes through struggles. Life can be really tough sometimes, but if we just keep at it and know that we're going to transform into this beautiful butterfly, we're going to get there. And this struggle is the key to getting there because we'll get stronger every step of the way. And you are absolutely right with the word should. I eliminated that from my vocabulary a long time ago. When you should all over yourself, all you're doing is creating a feeling of guilt. I didn't do it. And so therefore I should feel guilty. Well, I should have gone to the gym could simply be changed to I could have gone to the gym. I didn't. I chose to do other things. Now you have power. Now you have choice. So it's such a great message. Thank you so much for leaving that beautiful nugget for a final thought.
Thank you so much for having me. This was absolutely amazing. So thank you, Alyssa.
Oh, thank you. It's been a wonderful process. So this is your opportunity to pick up the book. You can see that we've got lots of people on the back. We've got 15 fantastic authors with loads of life experience. You will get a lot out of this book. It's such an interesting read. So thank you so much for being our guest today here on the Voice of Confidence TV. And I look forward to seeing you in the next book.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.